Hello and welcome to another episode of Furry Found Footage. I'm your host, Orlina, and today we are going to jump into an unsung furry movie that is overshadowed by its contemporaries. Produced by Triangle staff and created, character designed, and directed by Takashi Nakamura, the animation director of a little movie called Akira, you may have heard of. Today's film is none other than the delightful Catnapped. Before I go further, I'm going to do something I want to start doing, if possible and also legal, and tell you that there is a link to this movie in the description of this video. I encourage you to watch it first because I'm about to spoil everything. Now then, without further ado, here's a synopsis and furry interest look at Catnapped. We open with an incredible stop-motion title sequence right into a very bored kid. This is Torias and his sister Miko. Their dog, Papadal, has run away, and it's been a whole week. As the kids go to school, they discuss Papadal. Torias seems to be glad he's gone, and Miko is busy trying to figure out how Papadal got out of his chain. Aliens, perhaps?
They sneak up and then they beam you to their ship. You see, it's aliens. That's what happened to Papadal.
Look at these shots. You can really tell the Akira guy directed this. Torias, of course, is a very jaded child and doesn't believe in any aliens or anything like that. What a jerk.
UFOs, aliens, crop circles, it's all a bunch of bunk.
Suddenly, Miko catches a glimpse of a cat wearing clothes and takes off after it.
A weird cat!
Later, in the dead of night, a strange figure creeps toward the house. It's the weird cat! They seem to know who Papadal is.
Energy, look at this. It says Papadal.
They want to take Torias with them, and when Miko wakes up, she insists on coming too. They stuff the kids into this cat-shaped ship, say that 3 times fast, and once inside, they turn from cats into anthropomorphized cats. They're ready to kick it into high gear, so they inflate their ship and blast off. They literally warp to a place called Benepal Wit. One of my favorite things about this movie is the world building. They have cat-shaped ships. There's this huge sleeping cat below their world holding up the mainland. They have incredibly visually unique cities. They measure time in balls, and a full day in cat world is only 3 minutes in the human world. They have an octopus train, a wind god ship. Where are you going to find such a stunningly realized world? And keep in mind, we're only 1/5 into the film. As soon as the kids disembark from the ship, reality begins to right itself and they turn into cats, as if to suggest humans cannot exist in this world. The rays of the sun in Benepal Wit are apparently what turned them into cats. The cats go looking for Master Sandata, but they find him, well, hugely inflated, floating up near the top of the room.
A bloated blimp.
Apparently the princess did this to him. Master Sandata brought the kids here to capture Papadal, whom they describe as monstrous. That's strange, he's just a kid's dog, right? Well, we meet Choo-Choo, a resistance fighter, who reports that her older brother Dodo is using Papadal to rampage through the streets. This is no longer an ordinary dog. He's become a horrific, dopey monster. And Dodo has stolen the sorcerer's arm, a magical glove. Dodo is completely beholden to the princess everyone keeps mentioning. He refuses to return the sorcerer's arm and offers an ultimatum instead. Submit to the princess or face ruin. As a villain, I really can't appreciate a good ultimatum. Miko tries to placate Papadal and mostly succeeds, but she's stolen away. Off to the palace. Pretty unique, huh? We're finally introduced to the best character, the crux of the movie, the villain, the babe, Princess Bubarina.
Ah, Papadal, what kept you so long? I've been impatiently waiting for you to return, my adorable puppy.
She's voiced by Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, whom you may know as Major Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell, and also she is the singer in many Silent Hill games. All of Bubarina's guards are also hugely inflated, and she seems to really adore Papadal, cuddling up to him and telling Dodo not to be rough with him. There's a lot of visual storytelling here, and Bubarina displays her power with a devilish threat.
If you ever abuse that animal, you will end up like this, too.
She knows Dodo is attracted to her, but he seems terrified to touch her. He reaches out, but it doesn't seem like a good idea. The tension is comical, delightful, especially when Bubarina pulls her hand at the last second and he collapses into a heap of relief. Dodo was Master Sandata's pupil, but when he saw a cursed portrait of the princess, he became slavishly loyal to her. Our heroes want to thwart the princess and return Papadal to normal. If they don't return within one day, they'll turn into horrific monsters too.
They become what Papadal has become.
What? You mean we're gonna...
A huge swath of the population has been imprisoned by the princess, and Miko is their only hope of escape. She finds Bubarina praising Papadal. He's the only one that doesn't turn into a balloon when she touches him.
I know you were a mistreated pet. A beast with a broken heart, discarded and forgotten by the humans who owned you. The reason you've grown so much larger since you arrived here isn't just because of the sun, you know.
She knows he was mistreated, discarded. Look how much she loves him. In a flashback, we see that Bubarina was once a spoiled little princess.
Enough of your stupid trickery!
Unimpressed by magic tricks, Bubarina, demands the sorcerer's daughter walks a tightrope, but she falls to her doom.
Someone get a doctor! Hurry, my daughter!
The clumsy girl fell.
The wizard later curses Bubarina so that she can no longer touch another person without turning them into a balloon. Kind of like the Midas touch, but with compressed air or gas. Cut back to Bubarina. Her parents are still around, begging her to stop this madness, but she likes it, and her curse.
Let me tell you something. I don't believe that my power is some kind of punishment. Being able to turn things into balloons is just great! Yes!
To her prisoners, she explains her evil plan with the smug certainty of a Bond villain. Her plan is to jiggle a sexed-up mouse in front of the sleeping cat that holds up the world to destabilize it. She'll use Papadal to calm it down again, and through this she'll rule the world uncontested. Bubarina doesn't take kindly to Miko's insults, but Bubarina's powers don't work on her.
Get your paws off me! I'm human, okay?
Oh well, they work on everything else.
Dodo! Let's begin!
We are treated to one of the most extensive inflation sequences ever put to film. All these feline yokels are turned into balloons for the sole purpose of filling out the sexed-up mouse balloon large enough to be a distraction for the sleeping cat. Not only do we have a character with inflation powers, but her entire evil plan is inflation-based. She's a woman after my own... Technical difficulties. Little help? Tell you what, let's get back to it and maybe I'll be deflated by the end of the synopsis. Torias and co. arrive to sneak into the palace and try to give Papadal a pill, but Bubarina eats it instead. Bubarina hypnotizes Torias, but Choo-Choo arrives just in time to distract her the only way a cat can. The pill puts Bubarina to sleep and the heroes escape. Suddenly the mouse begins to emerge from the castle. They rush to secure Papadal and stop Bubarina's plan, and a spectacular air chase ensues. Bubarina is downright terrifying trying to pop the heroes. She chases Torias until he falls and lands right on Papadal. He starts to remember his connection to his beloved dog. As the chase continues, we see a flashback of Torias' relationship with Papadal. Local bullies mocked him for being into aliens and threatened Papadal until he ran away. When Torias gets home, he's so upset he hits and then kicks Papadal. It's really heartbreaking. Torias has to remind Papadal who he is, but first, he himself has to remember.
That's better. Space. Ya-su-o, with whom I share the blood of my canine friend.
There's a thrilling action sequence here where you can really see the quality of the animation. The heroes succeed and everyone is turned back to normal. They return with Papa Doll just in the nick of time. The next morning, the cats return looking for our heroes, suggesting a sequel which, sadly, we never got.
Torius, wake up! We've got trouble!
This is a tremendous movie, and I wish I had gotten to see it as a kid. Actually, I suffered from terminal cool girl syndrome from 6th grade on, so I didn't watch many animated films at all. I suppose I'm trying to make up for that now. Check out this mixed media credit sequence with an extremely catchy chant sung by Mayumi Iizuka, the Japanese VA for Choo Choo, and a legendary seiyuu in her own right. Catnapped is some of the most fun you'll have watching a movie. It's visual popping candy bursting in fireworks on your tongue, super creative and engaging. It isn't too long either, which is more than I can say for most of the slogs we get these days. It's whimsical, action-packed, and has a great be nice to your pets lesson it doesn't hit you over the head with. Actually, the scene where Torias and Papa Doll are hunting aliens is so cute I always tear up. It really shows you how good the writing, translation, and dub acting is. I don't have much to say about the age-old sub versus dub debate other than that people need to unclench and just enjoy what they enjoy. It's interesting that although it's a cat movie, it's also a dog movie. It uses cats to teach a lesson about kindness to all pets in a way that could positively influence some kids. I think we need a modern sequel to teach people not to exploit their pets for social media. Now, did I mention how obsessed I am with Princess Bubarina? Close friends know she's a me character because I love a good royal villainess. She has a range of powers which are often represented in furry art, including, of course, hypnotism. She pulls some seriously amazing faces during this scene. And inflation. Uh-oh, I must have gotten too close. I love her design, her femininity, and her depth. In addition to her shocking backstory, she shows real, genuine affection for Papa Doll and his plight. I just love villains who hate everybody except their weird little monster pets. People talk a lot about the early 2000s island aesthetic shared by the likes of Final Fantasy X, and I think Catnapped deserves to be considered one of the progenitors of this sort of style. The fact that this is an animated film safe for children while also containing what is commonly understood as a furry paraphilia got me thinking, what is intent? When a furry draws a kink, it's kink art. Were the filmmakers putting kink art in this movie? You might say they weren't aware, but what does it mean if they knew? The entire premise of talking cats might be enough to be a kink for some people, but no one has an issue with that part, right? The inflation is also pivotal to the plot and hardly sexualized.
End up like this, too.
Wait a minute. So, my question is, at what point does something change from a simple gag or a plot point and turn into a furry paraphilia? Even if you can answer that, does everyone agree on that answer? Does who makes it matter? Is it always black or white, or is it gray? Should Catnapped be marked 18+? There's an interesting thing happening with this new generation of furries. While millennials were raised on animated films and draw inspiration from them in countless ways, including paraphilias, those younger than us are being exposed to our animated film-inspired furry art before or in addition to actual commercial products. I believe that furry artists are real artists, and many great future creators may trace their inspiration back to some random furry's cool art. At the same time, because of inadequate tagging systems and an internet designed to blast everything and everyone, younger people are being exposed to kink art without seeking it out. In the early 2000s, the only way I found kink art was through an early search engine where one picture in several pages of results led me to discover a fat furry website, and the rest is history. It wasn't even a really adult picture. I'm sure the same is true for most people of that era. Nowadays, a simple search for the name of an animated character will show you adult art. That isn't to fault the artist, no. On the contrary, the problem is the tools we're given to post our work. Social media blasts content out to God knows who, and search engines trawl websites and suggest furry kink art without any understanding of what it is. Even with safeguards such as content filtering, which parents rarely even know about or care enough to enable for their kids' browsing, there are no adult spaces anymore. Everything is being infantilized so that it can be marketed to everyone. While adult sex, paraphilias, and adult interests are being attacked on all sides between right-wing reactionaries, who are millennials or Gen X or boomers or older, and this new generation who, when they turn 18, suddenly have a bunch of opinions about sex, including that it's disgusting and everyone who does it should be locked up. Both groups levy these same talking points to demonize and divide already marginalized queer people in a way that is both so sinister and so obvious I'm puzzled why we aren't less tolerant of it. Adults only want their own spaces without being penalized and attacked for being dirty by people who claim to be holier than thou, when really every accusation is an admission. I'm really curious what my audience thinks, so please feel free to leave your opinions in the comments here or on Twitter. Keep it clean. Thank you so much for spending some time with me, and if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps me keep the channel growing and helps me make more videos in the future. Until next time, this is the Dark Sorceress, Aurelina, signing off. Hello?